What are you supposed on it? I'm doing right. Letters on it too.
I put the letters on mine. I did. Let me see it too. This one is really, really, really good.
Put it on there. Put it on that part.
I put guac on there.
Did y'all like the guac on there?
Yeah, I like
I'm fine about guac.
it. Make it taste more.
And then you squeeze you some lime.
Delicious. That's just fine.
And then get the snack.
Okay.
And then you get the talking and stuff. You be like,
And you get good.
especially how you did it. Wow, good. Whatever sauce you did it in.
It's literally not sauce. It's the, you know, the fajita packaging, like a little seasoning bag.
No.
I literally sauteed, I put some oil in the pan, sauteed onions, peppers, garlic. And after I fried the plantain, I just added it to it, put the sticky flavor on top, and mixed it all together. Over half a mile, but really ain't no juice in it. So, even that part where it took me to, ain't sauce, that's just what, I guess what the seasoning did when they hit everything.
Okay, my boss is fire.
Excuse me.
Oh, Khalil.
Okay, coming.
Oh, yeah, she, well, she said she coming.
Oh, she
She doing some time.
Is this recording?
Yeah. Yeah, we live.
Wait a minute, this not my good side.
Stop it.
I didn't call that a word. Why am I?
Hold up.
What did I
This
miss?
is not my good side.
Whatever. Y'all know y'all all thought about it.
All sides are good sides.
There you go. Look, there it is. I'm not you new.
I know. You the one who come out your good side.
My good side.
Yeah, that's why I can mind you.
That part.
I'm amazed that you even made this burrito like this.
How's your name?
Ridiculously huge.
How you need me to help you?
You know she like topics. They was all fresh.
She double wrap that
You
way.
like,
That's what I did.
okay.
Right, thank y'all. Y'all know what's up.
You double wrapped yours?
Yeah, I had to do one over the top.
That's
and I had
it?
to do one in the bottom.
That's
But
it?
got too juicy.
How is this ridiculous? And to see these is bigger than this.
Yeah.
I've never eaten that.
Then it's all.
What?
Then it's all veggies, so it go down
I heard
fast.
it's real good.
That's incredible. We need to have Stockton Cecilia the way this family order from them.
You ain't lying.
They only market.
They need to be. Definitely need
You
to be.
cool with it. You need to get deals. IPO.
Yeah, you need to
She told me to go there and teach on the rooftop. I mean on the Ascension, but I don't know what's wrong with me. It's like when I come to Atlanta, I don't want to teach over. I don't know what that's about.
That's crazy.
It really is.
Why you talking about his young age?
No, Cecilia's would be a great place to be too.
Okay. Yeah, you even done it.
Popping now, like
We went to Somali class together at Cecilia's.
Yeah, we did.
y'all did somebody. What y'all do with somebody y'all do?
Somali is this guy that did the yoga teacher training with us
Oh, it's a guy.
in Morocco.
His name's somebody.
Somali Potter.
What is he?
Huh?
He Indian?
No,
What's he?
a human.
Okay.
Some black American who named himself
Oh,
somebody.
so he named himself somebody.
But you know, he wasn't know he more tips. He wasn't know he more tips.
His real name not somebody.
I think that's what Ocha was getting at. He wasn't. What is he?
Oh, you talking me?
Talking about what is he?
I just want to know, you know what I'm saying, what is his origins?
Earth.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a good one.
He's an earthling.
So good.
Son of Adam.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I did. It was much.
It was a wonderful suggestion.
Thank you. I know
Oh,
it's
that was
really
that one.
quick.
That was good.
Y'all did good.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a lot easier if I would have just did meat and meat.
No, this was delicious.
Real good.
And then we don't have the heavy feeling at the end from eating the meat.
Yeah.
So
That's what
That's what
why
I appreciate.
That's really why I be like, let's do the veggies.
Yeah. That's why I be on it too. I probably eat meat like one time throughout the day.
I'm trying to get it down to where I'm just eating meat like a couple times a week.
yeah.
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 I think that'll feel better in my being because then after my fast in February, when I started back eating meat, I don't really like it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just be doing it like just because
Just to
it's
have it
easy
on the plate.
and really because of the convenience of it. But my body be like, meh. I guess if this what we doing. Oh, I got some I really burnt.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you was in color blade.
The chi-chi. Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
I said the chi-chis.
The tree cheese.
Yeah, girl.
What's that?
My margarita.
Oh.
The little cups I had. The little
Oh,
bottles.
little bottle. Mmm. Okay.
Oh. I'm calling her out.
And how did Rima get to mommy's house?
Huh? She been out.
She what?
She done out.
How did she get there? Did she drive?
Oh, she drove. I'm still like it.
Make sure that make it back to the table. That's my special item. Yo, light on.
Just doing flash me. That's what it's about.
Shit, you on? You at the place? And
Okay. Make me feel good about myself. I just appreciate the compliment.
Tell me what Ramsey, come
One more time.
on.
Okay.
Tell me what Ramsey, come on.
See, we have the right sides and everything.
Appreciate you, Kelly. Appreciate you, child. Thank you.
Alright, she was at Memorial Hospital watching her dad, so she right down the street. Yeah, do that.
That teamwork be beautiful, don't it? It's
Look,
like, ooh, when they do their part.
yeah.
Much
That shit
later.
fire.
Beautiful, does it be?
I can see what that juice tastes like.
It's fire.
Sure.
It's fire.
It sure is, baby. They're like, thank you. That thing good, ain't it?
Very good.
I
You
know.
know what? Like what?
Thank you.
I'll bring it back.
I got one right there. Or if you, yeah, the bigger one would probably work. I just had a grocery bag.
Oh, this low one here.
Yup.
She
Oh,
don't get the
who
big
just
tray.
like, that's what you,
What?
You smell the Palo Santos?
no, maybe that's him.
What?
Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's Kendall.
Yeah, that's me.
That's wrong.
What you call it? Pablo Pepper? Put your mouth.
That one opened up my nostrils.
Put the wig. I ain't had a gangster grit deal. That's Kendrick with the gangster grit deal.
Yes, sir, it is. What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
Tons of compliments.
We gotta get that bun back for me.
Yes, please, because
The what?
was in the water.
Oh, which,
And my boss was relaxed.
what country is this? Oh, I need an ashtray. Chuck. Oh, it's the ashtray right there. Thank you. We got about 4 more minutes and we gonna get this thing cracking.
Oh, so it started at 3:30? That
Well,
was early.
huh?
I'm early.
No.
It's sweet berry.
Can I see a lighter, please?
Yeah.
Sweet berry.
Yeah.
Which one?
You
Can
gonna
you
catch
give me
it?
that lighter, please? Y'all got me on YouTube smoking. Oh, shit.
Well,
You know nobody else?
hey,
It's on CBD.
It's
CBD.
It's CBD.
there you go.
CBD.
You know it's your life, girl. You your
You know
own
it's your-
boss. You who you answer to.
Okay.
I'm an influencer, and that's a different story.
So am I.
Who do you answer to?
Nobody. Nobody.
You 100% you.
So influencer or not, like you gotta live your life.
Yeah, we just become legalized everywhere.
It ain't legal here yet. Is it legal here yet?
In many places. Not federal on the federal level, but definitely.
Is it
on the
legal in
state
Georgia?
Medical.
level. Not recreational, medically.
Okay.
But a lot of places are becoming recreational. See how I made it back over there to you. I'm like, I try to keep it all down.
Mm-hmm.
Where your tray at?
You gonna run something up? So do that mean we shouldn't pass to you no more, child?
What happened?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You just
She
bring
didn't
up
say
some
that.
real concerns.
Miss Influencer did not say that.
I just highlighted a concern as it came up. I brought it out
I hope it was able to help you deduce that to feel better about it.
slightly.
Okay.
Right.
Slightly. Do you have feathers? Like a wand feather?
I have some. I don't know where they are.
And if you want to create a wand out of it, that'll be how you keep it. How you keep your Palo Santo going.
Is that how you keep it going? You put a wand on it?
Where you use the wand to blow on it rather than what I just did, like blowing on it. The wand will be doing fanning it like this for you, so it'll burn evenly all around. Also.
So when you say fanning it for you, you still have to fan it.
Yeah, so the wand is essentially like doing what I'm doing right now with my hands, and it'll keep this going longer. Or like, see, so now it's more all around than when I got it. When I got it, it was just this corner.
Well, I guess I just always glue on mine. I do my sage like that too. Just
Yeah, but
glue.
if you use the wand, you'll notice it'll create like a cigar. Had it all the way around, so it'll burn down.
I never smoked a cigar.
Really?
You talking about like
There's a cigar bar in Midtown I'll take you to.
Sage.
If we could do like a whiskey cigar night. That's what a man be at.
That'd be cool.
Mhm.
We'll go to cigar bar.
Oh, she don't yeah, we going. I like how you just said we going. Yeah, we going, sis. You're right. But you make sure your seat is available. You
You
right.
already know. You created that thing.
No, that's right.
It's like,
You know. Okay. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Okay.
Right. Pull up. I want to go. We going to the cigar bar.
Okay.
And they love to teach too. If they love to teach. So they'll be in there talking.
For me.
And we just get to practice our daintiness.
Okay.
So show me again. How do you do that? I'm gonna show you.
She's happy.
Yeah, I'll drop the lid.
Okay, it's 3:30. So we can get started. Let's turn these down. Hey y'all.
hey.
Hey.
What's that?
This the 6th one, y'all.
We in the building.
I'm so happy about this. At first it was kind of like I don't know why I was kind of like nervous about it, or maybe a good word is unsure. But I mean, for us to have been doing this for it to be 6, you know what I'm saying, the sixth consecutive book club, that means we doing something right. We out here, we showing up, you know what I'm saying, that we doing
What we said we were gonna
what
do.
we said we was gonna do. So I know for me, sticking to my word and doing what I say I'm gonna do, I be struggling with that consistency. And so I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of all y'all. Even when I wasn't here, you know what I'm saying, the show went on, and I want to thank you, Kendra, again. On the TV because you did it. You hosted book club, and from what I heard, because unfortunately it was some issues with the technology. You know what I'm saying? It was a really good way to end the spirit of intimacy.
Shout out to Sandy. Shout out to Sandria.
Shout out to Sandria, because she also
She did that.
But she did that, and I appreciate her too. I appreciate both of y'all, and especially doing it to the point like we have created a standard and maintaining that standard. That will show up, that will do book club regardless of if we're here or not. You know, that was really important for me, and I appreciate the help and assistance too, because that's also another thing and another place where I struggle is asking for help. And y'all showed up and showed out for the kids, so I appreciate that. Today we gonna do. Oh well, before we do that, let me. We decided that we was doing the staging. Oh, everybody done Palo Santo themselves. Do you want to go around and I guess introduce ourselves, say what our intentions are, what brought us here today, and what we trying to. The people on YouTube don't know. Right?
I forgot that we were.
Okay.
Only because I just want to really get in this book.
Okay, so we'll be swift then, since you since we all so excited about inner engineering. I'm Twill Ochwele. My intention today is to really dive into myself and my inner workings, and start to facilitate transformation in my life.
I'm Boo.
Hi, boo.
It's spelled B-U. Not B-O-O. I'm not here to scare you.
That right.
I'm here to encourage you. Just be you.
Ooh.
Tag.
Say that
No,
to
no,
the bar.
you gotta come with these bars.
Okay, that's right.
My intentions.
That was good.
My intentions are to strengthen my connection with spirit, my inner, because the book is called Inner Engineering. I think it's going to help play a major role in my spiritual growth, my connection with mind, body, and soul, and spirit all around me. So I'm looking forward to diving deep into that and getting to know myself and others and finding that deeper connection between all things.
Very nice.
Very. My name is Kendra.
Hi, Kendra.
Hello. And my intention is to, I definitely agree with Twill and Boo, is to bring focus or acknowledgement to the inner workings and, you know, letting that be the foundation of, you know, what I portray.
What's up, guys? Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ocha.
Hi, Ocha.
What's up,
Call me Oak.
You like that, Pro?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Making it stick. But my intentions is to like you said, the book is called Inner Engineering, and I like the quote that your inside is reflected. You know what I'm saying? Your outside reflects your inside, and vice versa. So I just want to be a part of the unfolding of my personal creation and all of this in the whole, my part in the totality, and continue to be one with that, and hopefully to share and enlighten others to do the same.
Beautiful. Greetings. My name is Chakolaka.
Hey, Chalk.
Say you from Atlanta when I say you from Atlanta.
Oh,
That's how you say it. Right. Bring it back, y'all.
I mean,
Are you?
No, I haven't even started.
Right. Come on with it.
So I'm started.
The culmination of everything you all have said plus integration. I think it's one thing to know what it means to transform, to have the tools in your toolkit, to know what it means theoretically. It's a whole nother ball game when it comes to execution and integrating it on an embodied level. So that's where I'm hoping this conversation will ignite within me the embodiment and integration components.
Anna, you out this time?
I'm up here trying to send something off to the client.
Okay.
Just
Go
real
do your
quick.
thing.
That's
I
all
just
I
had
was
to
trying
ask.
do.
Do your thing.
I'm gonna be back there. I was just saying, I forgot about it and I was trying to do it.
Okay. So wonderful. I feel like we all have intentions that are, in alignment with each other, with our community, with our guidelines. I thought it was really important to do this book after the Spirit of Intimacy, because the Spirit of Intimacy ultimately talks about how we relate to other people. And our community and our world, and how to maintain a level of oneness in these relationships. This book is talking about maintaining a level of oneness within yourself. And so, just like with the Spirit of Intimacy, it's like, yes, everything is on an individual level, on a familiar level, and then a community level. So this book is going like a deep dive into the individual. I don't know if, the libations, do you want to do the libations? Let's call Spirit in, right? One more real quick. I don't have the book, but I like how you guys did it last time, where you basically called in whatever type of spirit or energy that you wanted to have in this space with you. So I asked the elder talk, is it okay if we pour libations and call in the energies? Okay. I'll start. We'll just go around and everybody call in who they want to call in. For me, I would like to call in the spirit of togetherness, of unity. Any spirits or ancestors that I have that are major components of that and influencers of unity, I want to call them in. And I also want to call in some loved ones, Sierra Clark, Carlos, Quincy. I don't know what made me just think of him, but Quincy Suggs. Just be with us in whatever type of healing that you guys need from this conversation, that they be here with us. Ashe?
Ashe. You gonna call in what you want to call in, and we gonna libate to it. We gonna Ashe together. Oh, you don't got. Oh wait. Oh, y'all ain't got Moscato right there.
Yeah.
Hold on. I think
No,
you
no
got
Moscato
some
can go
water.
into that cup.
Yeah, we can't pour it in
water.
there.
We're doing the sacred. The original blood. Water. Sacrificial water.
Okay, Papa.
I want to call in the spirit of love, also of courage as well. I don't know if y'all can read my shirt. It's crazy.
It's great.
But I just wore this shirt. It just came
Oh,
out.
we can call in all of them.
All these people on my shirt, I think they're great. It says dream like Martin. I call that Martin Luther King. It says lead like Harriet. Harriet, tell me you were welcome. It says fight like Malcolm, Malcolm Monroe, Malcolm, please come on in. Think like Garvey. Who don't want to have strong thoughts about everything? Right, like Maya.
She's still with us. She not? Oh, she gone.
Yeah, Maya.
I'm thinking about Tony.
Yeah.
Oh no, she right. Okay.
We can write like her. Bill like Madam C.J. Walker. She got school.
I need this shirt.
First black
Yeah,
woman.
no, it's fine. It says
Bring in the money.
speak like Frederick. You already know
Stand up,
Frederick Douglass.
Papa.
Thank you. Because you
sorry.
can't roll that thing down.
Yeah, it's crazy. Educate like W.E.B. Du Bois. Believe like Thurgood. That's Marshall.
That's Marshall.
And it says challenge like Rosa Parks.
Yes.
So I feel like calling in each and every single one of those spirits into this space is something that we should be doing. So I'm going to invite them to come on in.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. So I want to call in the spirit of forgiveness. I call that spirit because as we heal, it takes the forgiveness of herself and others. So I call in the spirit of forgiveness.
Ashe.
I like to call in the spirit of openness. You already said the spirit of courage. And said love. You say unity?
Yeah.
Togetherness.
Yes.
A lot of good spirits is already here.
We can add some more. Or we could just Ashe it.
No, I say it.
Okay, Ashe.
I call in the spirits of purpose, prosperity, pleasure, and freedom. Prosperity, purpose, pleasure, and freedom.
Ashe. Or do we Ashe each of them? Okay. So now that we got all the goodness in this place,
Okay.
and all the goodness in this space,
Feeling good.
our ancestors, these good spirits, these good energies, we can talk about the book. So we're doing Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. And I think, just even from the introduction, I'm like, okay, let's talk about all of these things. It was a note to before a note to the reader. Yeah, the 4-letter word, guru.
Dispelling the truth.
The dispeller of darkness is a guru. And I just think that's really important. That was a great place to start because you see people like Sadhguru, you see Mooji, you see all of these great, and as Sadhguru would call them, contemporary teachers or gurus that when you listen to them talk, it's almost like they're talking in fantasy or actually let me say this, for me, before I had my own experience, it felt like fantasy, or even the way that they living their life. Y'all just walking around smiling, you know what I'm saying, like all is good in the world, and all ain't good in the world. Like it's babies dying, it's folks that's hungry. Like, how y'all living y'all lives like this? All these great people, you know what I'm saying? All of these like mystics or these gurus, these like supposed teachers. And I know for a lot of people that sort of peace or that kind of that bliss that they have doesn't feel real or attainable, or if they've experienced it, if it's just for a moment, but it don't feel real to be able to live your whole life like that. So I think it was.
So they trying to make it, but they just laid off 16 people at the office. So they trying to still come.
Post office? Damn. Okay. But, these gurus, how it don't feel like it's something that you can, like, everybody can reach. And so I appreciate the quote where he said that one man's magic is another man's engineering, right? Because and that his mission is to get everybody to a place of blissfulness, of this experience that he's having. And it just made me think back to for myself when I had like my first connection or my first like experience with the oneness. It's difficult to describe to people.
It is.
And it's true, like once you have that experience, it's really hard to go back. It's like something is unlocked. Do you feel like you've had this kind of
Out of body, full awareness,
enlightenment sort of moment or experience?
More than one, several. And mine are often linked to nature. I just had one in Puerto Rico on my birthday where I've always visualized purifying myself under a waterfall and like not having any like no barriers wrapped around me, no aversion, just pure openness, receptivity, accepting what it is. And I got to feel that under the waterfall. Like it was a rainforest, it was quiet, and I was more intrigued by the silence of everything. And then the weight of the water pressing down on my body was like nature was massaging me. I mean, that for me was enlightenment. Like really not. You made fun of me the other day. I mean, I'm tickled by it, but I love it.
Yeah.
You know, like that
connection.
earthly things don't bother me. Like no. And that for me is like, okay, this is how God feels. No restrictions. None. This is freedom.
Mm-hmm.
This is freedom. And if something is seemingly off, rather than looking at it as an off, like could I give myself could I go stand over here and look at it from a different angle? Like that, it reminds me to keep moving. Like if I'm feeling low, it's like, okay, I'm not moving. I gotta keep moving. So that's how I would answer it. That's been, and like, it's hard to describe.
It is.
So that's why it takes a while for me to, give you something to chew on. Because you're right. It's like, how do you describe the ineffable? Because the way you feel it is going to be different from how I feel it.
Exactly.
And Waneka feels it, how Boo feels it, how Ocha feels it. And all of our experiences are valid.
Yes.
They're all valid. So that's why I'm intrigued by other people's story. I'm be like, tell me what you've been through. Because I know what you've been through is completely different from what I've been through.
Right.
So let me learn from you. Let's each share our stories, and now we come with one and we leave with two. I love that. I love that. And I think that part of my energy is felt when people tell me things. Like I feel like that's what people respond to when they meet me for the first, second, third time, and they're just telling me things that they've never told anyone in their life. And it's like, whoa. All right, So you must be feeling secure, safe, grounded in order to start expressing in that way. And I want to stay there. That ability to express. Like I loved how you all just checked me. All right, Chuck, yeah, they looking all right now. What? Oh, okay, yeah. Layer off. Layer off. And that for me has been a reminder of God essence. That's what it means to be a goddess. That God essence. Am I really, truly connecting with that and letting that speak for me? And it's like those times when the answer is no. I'm like, you know. Like I know better. When you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better. You know better, you do better. And it's like we all know, but it's like I feel like that's what, and that's that. I feel like that is what the book was trying to keep bringing me back to. It's like, all right, you got that moment of okay, now come on, let's keep going.
Right,
okay,
and that's why it's engineering, right? Because it's like now it's the intention behind it, right? Like. Now you're doing it on purpose. A lot of times when we do experience like that bliss, that oneness, that it's like on accident, you just kind of fall into it, you stumble into it.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my gosh. And then it almost feels like a drug, right? Because then it's like, oh, I had this moment and everything just felt so good. Everything just felt wonderful. Nothing could happen. And then it's almost like, you check out of there and then you come back into the real world and it's
just a moment.
Right. And then it just becomes a moment or an experience. But to be in that state all the time, that for me that's the goal, right? And I know, right? I'm kind of hesitant to say that that's the goal, because it's like that's the end, but that's not the end. Just to be able to access that.
That's so cool. So then we need to start reframing how we look at goals. Goals aren't so finite.
No, they're not.
They're almost like an imprint. You just get to experience this imprint
that you set for yourself.
For yourself,
right?
Yeah.
Not realizing what life set for you.
Yeah, exactly. It might not even be one and the same. Right. So that's that prayer. Like just pray that your will is God's will. You know, the least effort involved.
Right, which is
like,
also
this is God's will. This is gonna be in flow. This is gonna be easy. I don't have to struggle.
But
boy, locking something. Wait a minute. He got something. Look at him. He got something.
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
Everything that's in flow is necessarily what God's will is, because ultimately we are God, and what we desire, what we want to experience, God also wants to experience. So
is that because we're God?
God experienced life through us because He lives within us, and He won't be able to experience anything unless we experience it. But we move through it because we understand we are God, and He's already experienced this already. So it's like knowing what's at the end of the maze and how to get through the maze, but starting at the maze at the beginning blindfolded. If that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Don't make him do it. Don't make him do it.
No.
He ain't got to move.
It's like you know how to get through the maze,
but where you gonna start at the maze?
But where you start and you blindfolded. But I mean, technically, like when I say it back to myself like that, it's also essentially what Sadhguru is saying too, right? Because by going against or by operating from a place that is not that oneness, that's what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like essentially you going through life, trial and error. Whereas like what he's saying with these gurus, these roadmaps, this spirit as like leading the way. If you lean into that, then it's like you already know. So whether you blindfolded or not, and wherever you are in the map or in the maze, you'll be able to get to your destination. So long as you lean into that knowing. but it's when you are placed in the, so what I feel like human existence has been so far is if we can keep this same example, right, of being in a maze and knowing the way out, it's still like that feeling of the not knowing is almost when you're trying to like do it yourself, or you let your senses kind of guide you, as opposed to the knowing, the intuition, that knowing, and that is I guess I think that for me that's the difference, right? Because you can be, if you know the map and you've been, well, so long as what I'm saying is so long as you're not leaning into your you're not using your senses as a compass. You're not using like your humanness.
Your physical. That's
Your
how you put it in the
physical.
book. You're not relying on the senses.
That was interesting.
What?
How we just said all of that.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I said it was interesting how everyone just kind of said everything that they just said, like everyone's point of view of what was being said or deducing what's happening
Yeah.
in life. I just thought that was interesting.
What
It
part
is.
interests you most?
I mean, just the diverseness and the expression of it.
What's your take in on it? Like, how you feel about it?
Oh, I mean, I was just listening, and then it's like, to me, it always, it's like with life, it always feels like everybody has a piece, but nobody never has like the entirety of it all, because we're all parts. So we all, in a sense, expressing parts, and everybody's perspective is different, but it's the same because it's coming from the same source. So just listening to it all is really interesting. I mean, if you want to know how I would, I guess, kind of depict it, I guess it's just someone like what everybody's saying. It's so you have, I think there's like so start from the beginning what everybody's talking about, how it seems like, I guess, peace is the goal and like pleasure and things like that. Then the fact that Boo is saying that God is within all of us, and so that knowing and understanding of peace and everything is already there. But then as a person, and we tend to focus and concentrate on the physical and the senses and the body as a roadmap, like you guys were saying, and it takes you like to seek for those things on the outside. Whereas if you're using the physical to search on the outside, then you're not gonna find it. Like y'all were saying, like that's the being blind, right?
Yeah.
Maze, and it feels like a maze because you don't know where you're going.
Right.
Versus when you're operating from the inside, you know what I mean, and using the intuition or the knowing that you are a part or God is within you, and there's an understanding like within yourself that you can follow to where it doesn't matter wherever you are, it'll all be okay, or you already will have that sense of peace and understanding and not worrying. So
Yeah, what everybody said. But for real, what everybody said, and how you described it as well. Like even the fact that how he, Sadhguru does the first 3 chapters. He named the first chapter When I Lost My Sense, right? And when I was just skimming through, I'm like, when I lost my sense. But he's talking about that first time that he ascended the physicality, or like the physical aspect of living. And I feel like, especially if like being spirit led, you have to kind of forget that, because, or like lose that it's like the separation, between you and the world and everything and everybody else. So I guess what that's fire. I mean, it seems like everybody has had that moment of like clarity or ascension when they didn't have that feeling of like the body or just like feeling that feeling of oneness. Have you had that experience?
Wait, which one?
Ariel, the spirit, like that. Well, in the first chapter, it's called "When I Lost My Sense."
I didn't read the book.
Okay, well, did you listen to it?
No, you just gave me the title today.
I did. No, was that today?
Yes,
Oh,
at like noon.
sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, I thought we had talked about it before.
You supposed to already know the whole book.
Well, this book is called Inner Engineering: A Yogi's Guide to Joy.
I do want to read it though.
Yeah, I, as you should. I feel like it's a really good book for really taking control of your life and having a different sort of understanding about this experience and how to intentionally live the way you want to live.
I've been doing that a lot lately.
Right. And I mean, rightfully so, right? Because after the pandemic and everything, that like it's no life as we once knew it. Like those days are gone.
Yeah.
So now it's really about how do you want to live moving forward, and do you take those old things? Do you totally transform your life? Do you realize that you had already been doing it right, and now you just want to undo the things that you have been doing because society says so? I appreciate the fact that he gives kind of like a background of his life. I saw a lot of similarities with myself and the author, especially when it comes to like school and like how I spent my time, and or even now, still today, how I spend my days. My gosh, so many similarities, but it also lets me know that I'm on the right track as well. Seeing these sort of similarities and these feelings of how I got here or where I want to go and what I want to do. How can I guess, how old were you guys when you had that sort of epiphany or aha moment? And did it remind you of anything in your youth? Like those sort of feelings, like when you had it consciously as an adult, like this oneness, this aha. How did it connect to your youth? Or did you have a similar experience when you were younger?
I do remember once as a child, I was in my room alone. I was about to take a nap. I laid down in front of the vents. It was hot. It was summertime. And I was laying in front of the vents so I can get the cool air, like the wind blowing in my face. I remember my brother coming to look for me, telling me to come outside and play. And I was like, I don't want to go outside and play. I want to sit and I want to be in this breeze that I feel against my face.
I think he reading a novel 12.
And yet, he didn't want to hear that. He didn't care what enjoyment I was getting from that. He wanted me to come outside and play. I said, okay, since I don't want to be a recluse, let me go ahead and go outside. So I went outside. We played a little bit, and somewhere along the lines, I got tired of playing. Whether I got hurt, somebody pissed me off in one way, shape, form, or fashion. And I was like, what, this that BS. That's why I didn't want to play in the first place. So, being able to go back into my peace and find my enjoyment of laying in front of the vent.
Wow.
And I went into like, as I felt myself dozing off, I often find myself talking to myself in some fashion. My brother would always think that I was crazy. I was talking to myself. I had some imaginary friend of some sort. But yeah, it was. I always So being able to read this book and him was talking about how he was able to find that sense of oneness when he was sitting upon that rock. It was like I find that sense of oneness whenever I'm laying down feeling the cool breeze against my face. So whenever I find myself being like in a sense of being bogged down with things, I can always take myself not back to being in front of an event per se, but being like maybe on a beach feeling a cool breeze or somewhere. I always need to feel the type of a cool breeze to feel at peace. So maybe that's why I sleep with the fan on all year round. Maybe I don't know, but it helps remind me that spirit is always within me moving.
Okay.
So even if it's not being presently felt on the outside, once I feel like that breeze when I'm outside, it just reminds me, I'm connected with everything, so everything's okay no matter where I am.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where mine came from.
Thanks for sharing that. That is, wow, that's really, because I remember those moments in our youth where you, you know what I'm saying, would go in and out, but like kind of be reluctant. Like I remember a couple of those. And even that, like the fact that you do sleep with the family, like that's a real thing. So yeah, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Anybody else want to share? You do? Oh, you don't. Anybody else want to share?
Can you remind me the question? Can you refresh me?
The question was is about this a feeling of losing your senses, right? Where you can't really like, it's almost like boundaries between you and everything else kind of dissipate. In the book, he talks about how everything is happening within you. So like even with you feeling like if we were holding hands right now, that you would be feeling my hand. You're not feeling my actual hand. What you're feeling is in your own hand. And so with that being like kind of I guess a guide to oneness, where you're not just feeling your body, but like you're beyond that, and you don't feel boundaries between you and another person. Almost kind of like being in like a deep meditative state, where you're like here, you're present, but you're like omnipotently present. Or yeah,
You float.
yeah, you just so I think for me, in my adulthood, where it kind of like changed for me and it really triggered something from when I was younger was when I had came back from West Georgia, and I was kind of in this like funky place because I heard you want to be in school in the first place, and everybody like, well, you need to go to school, da, da, da. And then I ended up losing my financial aid and I had to come back home because we didn't really have money for me to go to school in the first place, and I didn't have any scholarships because I didn't really look for them because I didn't really want to go to school, and I didn't want to be in debt or none of that stuff. So I'm like, you know, to be getting now reprimanded and like given a silent treatment because I didn't do something that I never wanted to do from the first place. I was just like, well. But it was one day I was sitting outside and I just felt like the whole day went by. I was just sitting outside in the back porch. It wasn't quite the spring yet, but it was starting to like warm up like the winter time, because I remember it was probably like February, or I think it was like February before my 21st birthday, and I just felt kind of like this here but not here, around but not around, like none of these things even matter. Like yes, I'm outside, but what I mean, like I'm not really even this body, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the first time, like in my conscious mind, I had done it, and it reminded me of how I used to feel when I used to dance. We used to go to these African parties and dance all night long.
All night.
I would literally
the dance floor.
man.
And then the fact that they was spraying.
Yes.
Oh, what?
Yes.
I
Oh,
literally
man.
used to be on the dance floor all night long. And even now, like
Feeling it.
I can slip into that space really easy while I'm dancing. Where all these whole night can go by 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, oh, we shut it down. But that's really that space when I get kind of meditative and I lose like all sense of self and things. And I just be here. Yeah, so that's my example. Then I think the next chapter is. Was there anything else that I wanted to talk about in this? Not when I lost my sis. They talking about. Okay, then the next chapter is the way out is in. Do anybody have anything that they wanted to talk about per se in the first chapter? No.
I just thought it was interesting that he knew early on he wasn't interested in traditional education.
Yeah.
And I just wish our society honored that knowing more regularly. I mean, we're not all meant to do the same thing. I remember while reading that part in the book, I really resonated with him wanting to be outside and in nature. And it's like, whatever I gotta do, I gotta pay this teacher off, I gotta do some extra assignments, all right, I'll do it. Just let me have my freedom. That's what really stood out for me for the first section of the first chapter of the book. His devotion to freedom.
Okay. Thank you. Alright, then the next chapter is the way out is in. We've all touched on how what we see outside is a reflection of what's going on inside. And acne. Oh, okay. Yeah.
What?
Because
It's not gonna show up on the outside either, unless it's like something.
unless you have the toxins inside.
Right.
So like when acne,
She said acne.
acne, yeah.
Acne can be on the inside.
What?
Acne starts on the inside.
It starts on the inside.
That what happened? Okay, sorry.
I think what was my question for here? Did anybody? Oh, this is when they talking about pleasantness, and that how being in a state of pleasantness is the first step, I guess, to accessing this oneness on a constant basis. I know in Spirit of Intimacy, she talks about being connected to spirit and inviting spirit in all areas and aspects of your life. And how that, for me, it's like that creates a state of pleasantness. Being in this meditative state is one of pleasantness. Things that you like to do, what brings you joy, what makes you happy.
Peaceful.
And how that is a precursor to this state of blissfulness. Also in this chapter, he talks about the state of our society, where we don't have certain worries about security or where our next meal is coming from, but we are still unhappy. And for some people, like, this peace is the ultimate goal, or it's something, whatever you feel like you're not experiencing is an ultimate goal. But whenever you are pleasant, you don't feel that something is missing. I guess what are some of the things that take you out of this state of pleasantness?
He said, "Was something to take me out of the state?"
Yeah, that take you out of this state of
I know
pleasantness.
mine is when I feel like I'm not flowing freely. When I feel like things are not smooth. Like, all right, I need to do this in order for this to happen and this to happen. Like, I can visualize it and I start taking the steps, and then something along the way, like, takes it off plan. That takes me out of pleasantness at times. And I know it because it doesn't feel good. And then it's like, okay, it don't feel good, so let me back out, let me back off. And for me, I would like that window between when the shift occurs to when I recognize it. I want that to be less. So that during that space, I haven't expended so much energy. Because it takes a lot for me to calibrate. To calibrate. Yeah. You understood what I was describing?
Anybody else? What takes you out of?
When I feel overwhelmed, like if I feel like I got too much to do, like too much on your plate, things like that, it take you and just put you in a state of, I guess, anxiety, anxiousness, or restlessness, unfocusedness.
I'm wondering, how does anxiousness show up for you? Like, how do you know when it's anxious?
I mean, it's just, I just feel it in my being, like, just feel agitated on the inside, or I don't know, maybe like a feeling of falling behind or something like that.
Yeah, that's a familiar one. That's a familiar one. For me, I feel like there's a ping in my upper belly.
Really?
And when I feel it's like, okay, I'm holding.
Yeah.
I'm holding.
Yeah.
So
I got you.
so I just have parts.
Like tension.
Yeah, areas of tension. They're physical.
Yeah, I got you.
For me, it's like if I hear news of someone like that's very close to me being hurt, or someone like that may be in the hospital, something like that, like I instantly, like, everything just goes to just, like, I instantly feel like this knot in my stomach, like, dang, this is gonna be serious. Like, if you hurt, you in the hospital. Yeah, or if somebody tell me, hey, your daughter's being bad, or your daughter's hurt, or something like that, or someone tell me something about my kid. So they start off saying, your daughter, everything like, oh, okay, well, what you got?
How bad is it this time?
What happened? Just give it to me straight. So, instances like that, like just just like when just things like that takes me instantly out of my peace. Because I'm usually like a sturdy, happy-go-lucky kind of, consistent kind of flow with energy from me. But there's times where I come out of it and it's tough. It takes a toll on me. But those are things that can take me out of my peace.
So then what is, okay, so I know, so once you realize that it's happening, what do you do to kind of get it back?
Well, I remind myself that if I'm going through it, this must not be that serious, because God won't put me through that I can't handle. So it's just for me to experience, for me to grow, and just to take a step back and realize, hey, maybe it's not as bad as you think it is, or for whatever reason this is happening, it's going to be okay. So that's what I usually have to do, is just always remind myself. I don't know what verse it is, I should know it, because it's the one I go to, but yeah, God won't put me through that I can't handle. That's what I remind myself.
I would say one thing that distracts me is like daily duties, like just in the day, like the duties you gotta do throughout the day. Like it's multiple things. So I think it's like those distractions is what, draws me from being blissful and peaceful. So what I'm trying to work on is, this is my day and night. So how am I gonna blissfully do this? Because it's gonna happen. Nothing else. I was talking to Ocha outside. We were speaking about the word responsibility and how it's different now. Like, responsibility to us, we be like, with great strength comes great responsibility. Like, I gotta handle all of this, carry all these burdens, because I'm more conscious and aware. But it's like reading the book with Sadhguru, he's saying response ability. You have the ability to respond to the situations that are happening. So having a different perspective on that word now, it's like, okay, well, these daily duties that's going to happen, how am I going to respond to them? Yeah, I have the ability to respond now. That's my responsibility. So that, implementing that right there, it's like, boom, answer.
Okay.
Like, implement.
Because let me tell y'all, I had such an issue with becoming an adult. I mean, in real life. I'm like, why? Because I'm alive, I gotta pay bills. Who invented this? And why do I have to participate in it? Just because I'm here. Why I gotta give you my money? Because you found a way to harness the sun. What? The sun here for everybody. Why? But
I remember having that epiphany, that same one you just had. I was in a safari in Kenya, and I'm like out in the middle of the wild where lions roam free, and the thought that came to mind is, humans are the only mammal that pay to live on Earth. That was my thought when I was out there in Kenya in the safari with giraffes around me and elephants. I was like, they are out here chilling,
living their best life,
chilling, working in packs, roaming around together in their little mobile communities. Like, I watched the whole wildebeest like run from one side of Kenya to the Tanzania, the Kilimanjaro side. That's what like National Geographic dudes like wait patiently the whole season to watch, and we just rocked up and got to see it. It was incredible. Have you ever seen the scene where the crocodiles are there? It was that scene. It was that scene where the crocodiles are waiting for the wildebeest to cross over because they know they can jump up. Yes, it was that scene.
Wow.
And I got to see it. Oh my god! Like, I've seen giraffes sleeping. They just drop down on one limb. They look like they're still standing. But they just drop down. It's like us dropping down to our knees and sleeping like that. Like, it's wild how many other experiences are out here. So many. So when you were like, you don't care about these earthly matters, sometimes I really genuinely don't.
And like that, and I think that's the part, right? Because it's a piece of my whole being that knows.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That knows. That's not.
Yeah. There are other ways.
For what? That's not what it's for.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
I guess I do it since that's what we're doing.
Yes.
But in my real life,
This shit.
all this shit wrong.
That is real.
For what? So, and I think that's the other reason why when I was talking earlier, these Sadhguru walking around, they throwing rose petals at his feet. Moochie just, sitting down chilling,
Answering questions.
It's best like these folks on stage crying, crying, because they are just, so amazed to be in this presence because they can make this it's not even like they're trying to maintain this. You know what I'm saying? It's just they have gone to a place inside where everything is lovely out here. Everything is beautiful. Everything is, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it just is.
It's so real.
And
It's so real.
he talked, like Sadhguru talks about how it's not until you stop wanting to designate this is good, this is bad, you know, wanting to label and judge things, when you can have this experience where everything is wonderful. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is wonderful, everything is bliss, because you're no longer judging things according to your senses, according to what you see, like, outside. It's really all about what's going on inside. And I think my favorite, this is what this part is all about. This quote says, all human experience is 100% self-created. So once I started thinking about it, like, well, once, you know, I changed my mind about it, I was like, well, okay, adulthood is not that bad, right? You get to go where you want to go. You get to do what you want to do. Ain't nobody telling you how, what to eat, when to eat, how you can live your life. Like, you get to choose how you live your life. Right. And how you, your ability to respond to what's going on, to what you're experiencing. And I think what's really important too is he talks about realizing that he didn't really know anything. And I think when it comes to how people judge, or, you know, I mean, how can I put this, like, into a question that I want to ask? Because I don't know if it's just me. You know how you get to a place where I don't know how to ask this question. How can I ask this question?
Did we answer that last one?
What are you wanting to say? What are the factors that you're trying to put into question for?
Like, how you change your perspective of something.
What are the tools that you use to
yeah,
change your
how did you,
perspective?
because just like I'm saying, like, now I don't feel like adulting is that bad, right? Because I've been doing it for a while now. You can see the good things in it. But it's the judgment part, right? Now I'm judging it differently.
Yeah.
How did you guys get to that place where you once had an opinion about something, and then, like, you changed it? Like, what sort of process did you go through? And when it comes to changing perspective, that's my question.
I'm gonna say experiences with people. Like, when you have experiences with people, and that's why it's important to have people. They show you different perspectives, because a same experience can be had, but the perspective in that experience is the difference. And that's how you'll shift, because you see a different one. And it helps you be more aware of yours, because you'll judge somebody for being the exact shit you do. You know, that's when you learn green shit and brown shit. It's still shit. So that's how you change your perspective. You see the difference.
Okay.
It becomes easier to choose the better, because it's like, I'm gonna get this. If I don't.
One thing I use that works real well for me in most situations is whenever I feel some kind of way about stuff that's happening or stuff that's here, right? My whole thing is that, in a sense, I didn't put it here, right? So ultimately, if I didn't put it here, I don't really know why it's here. And so for me to have such a strong judgment about it and not really know the purpose and its origins, besides what I feel about it, is I think it's like selfish and it has some kind of arrogance behind it. So therefore, kind of take a step back and instead of trying to judge it on how I feel about it, let it do what it do while it's here, and then see its place in life. Because if it's here, then it must have some kind of place. It must have a reason for being here. Just like I feel like I have a reason, so I can't say be mad about something else that's here because I didn't put it there.
Anybody else have any responses?
I guess I just wonder, Ocha, is that your way of preserving your energy, or is that your way of just minding your business?
It's just my way of not jumping to conclusions about things that I feel in opposition about. Initially, like if I initially feel in opposition about it, then I like to take a step back, because just because I don't like it doesn't mean it doesn't need to be there in a sense. It's there for a reason. So I would rather be unjudgmental about it or unbiased about it to get a real reason on why it's there than to feel some kind of way off the back and misjudge it.
But do you feel as though your intuition communicates in the way that you're describing, but because you don't have a relationship with your intuition, you just kind of categorize it as, let me not touch it?
No, I feel that I do have an intuition and I do have a way of feeling about it, and I also feel that I can understand my relationship with something and still give it space to be without it affecting me. So therefore, no matter what's going on, I'm still like who I am. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to affect me unless I allow it or identify with it.
That's love. I feel you,
I see everybody got their finger. Now it's time for snacking. Okay. So then, with both of you guys, well, for Ocha, it was more of I think of like an internal dialogue that he had. And then Kendra, sounds like you use like different experiences, or just to be able to bounce back like off of other people in relationships, being able to see different perspectives and having respect for a loved one, and then give you respect for their opinion and their perspective of thinking of things. So it helps you to change how you're feeling about whatever is going on. If I've heard that right. Yeah.
I guess for me to add to that, it's just this acceptance, realizing that time is moving forward. You are getting older. Every single year your birthday come around, man, you're the age at which you was looking at people like that. I used to think that age was old. And like you at that age, it's like, you ain't even that old.
Right.
I still got no responsibilities that they had at that age.
And now it makes sense why they was doing what they was doing.
So having that acceptance and that understanding that we live in a 3D reality, regardless of what spirit may tell us or how long the spirit has been here, it's time that we are here. And it's linear for most of the time.
Wow, what happened?
Things are changing. When you wake up, we feel ourselves in our body, they don't feel like they used to feel. They feel heavier.
Really?
They feel slower. You have an understanding that it's there. At first it's like, I can just wake up and do right in motion. I don't got to stretch or do nothing. I jump up, I'm at 100%.
Yeah.
Now you wake up, you gonna have to move a little bit. You have to drink you some water.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to stretch.
Replenish.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
You have to cleanse yourself out.
You do.
Yeah.
Understanding that that the system is changing. So just accepting all that.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes I think of that. I love that the paradigm shift is happening because, like, deep down inside, we knew we were change agents. Like, we came here to be change agents, just
Right.
for things that have happened in life. It's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I know I'm different.
Right.
I came here to represent something.
Yeah.
And it's like, no matter what happened in life, you were that. When people describe you, it is the same things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you were rebellious. They'll be like, you just strong-willed. Like, you what you believe in, that's what you believe.
Right.
And it's like, what was wrong with that? You created your own world. Like, we lived in that as children. Like, it was a part of us.
Yeah.
And then into adulthood, to be able to maneuver through the Western civilization, we had to either conform or figure out how to play the system. And it's like, it wasn't who we were or our natural being. So it's like, oh my God, I got to do this to succeed, but I want to help myself and people, but yeah, duh. I got to go to this degree to do it.
Right.
Something not right. So, you know, you just have that sense of awareness that the better you make yourself, the better you make other people. It's like, boom. All right, then, well, let me just work on me.
Right.
So,
I like that.
I like that too, because even Sakura mentions it in the book, like at least the past 150, 200, however many years, everybody been trying to make the world a better place, but have been doing a lot of external things to make the world better. And honestly, like he said, it's fucked it up. All this shit about global warming, too many people here, you know, technology making us comfortable and lazy, you know, it's not, you know, to a certain extent, it's more than what you do in the world. It's your intention behind it, you know, and how you are and how you're interacting with people, with the environment, with whatever, you know, with all of these. Because really for me, I remember once I realized that everybody is in their own world and these relationships are just a chance for our worlds to interact with each other, then I'm like, oh, they both, and literally in their own world, but for real though. So then it's like, hey, come into my world a little bit. Oh, let's create us like a bigger world. But now it's just gotten to the point where it's like, there's a certain couple people in charge, and they're like, oh, this is the world that we want to create. Everybody fall in line. And like, that's part of the reason why it's not working. I'm sorry, I got eyelash in my, I want to go in my eye. But that's why it's not being as fruitful, or it doesn't feel better. Right.
And it's so far from the original plan.
Right. Or I think it's like we understand the difference between duality and oneness. Like, we know them both. We believe in both. We see them both. Like, some people need it to be one or the other. And we like, it's all of it.
Right.
I see duality. I see oneness. I see, you know, all of this happening. This is me battling with this. This is me just letting go and being what it is. You see both perspectives, and understanding them, you accept them.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, so it's definitely everything that y'all said: acceptance, your interaction, and how you deal within yourself. Excuse me. And so then this last chapter that we're supposed to be talking about, design your destiny. I think so, because I feel like I'm getting it out the way.
Don't try this in a whirlpool.
You want to do it?
Okay, no, I'm okay. Design your own. Yes. Let me see. Oh, this way says, whenever we have had to do something about our lives, we have taken it into our hands. Whenever it comes to other people's misfortune, we have a word to explain it: destiny. And what a convenient word that is.
Destiny has become a popular scapegoat, a way to deal with failure, a fatalistic ruse to reconcile ourselves to all kinds of uncomfortable situations. But turning inward is the first step from passivity to agency, from being a victim towards becoming a master of our own destinies. And honestly, with even with that being said, that I can go back to that same day before I turned 21, and I was at my dad's house after I had this like epiphany, this moment where I'm like, okay, none of this stuff really matters. So how can I live my life like this all the time? And really, since then, I have been trying to go towards that. And really be like my own guru, and see where the darkness is in my life, where I feel like I'm just kind of going along or reacting to the outside, as opposed to taking control and being like, you know what, this is how I'm gonna move. This is how, regardless of how I got to being in this place now, this is what I'm gonna do moving forward. And all those times when it happens in my life, I feel really empowered. And I'm like, yes, there's like this new type of energy that I feel. There's like a pep in my step. I'm like, oh, boom, boom, boom. All these things are gonna happen. But even after it gets started, I find myself also like slipping back into this same sort of
cycle.
Right. So what do you got? What would you attribute that to? Like the cycle? Or like, you know, feeling like this, like, oh, this empowerment, but then like still like going back, and I guess it's feeling like you slipping or coming out of this place of oneness.
I feel like, you know, we're just works in progress. Like it's so much we had to unlearn, and then try out to make foundation. Like, okay, this is truth right here. Not that one.
There's a lot of
you know, it's like it wasn't an example that we could see with our eyes, but we learned it was the example on the inside. So it's like we're works in progress, and you start making the right decision more throughout the week than you made a bad decision, or you stay blissful more throughout the week than you found yourself distracted. It's like you'll see yourself getting better at doing it, that you'll do it without even thinking about it. It's like just creating new habits. But we have to unlearn these 30-year-old habits that's been upon us. So you gotta give yourself credit. Like, you know, I'm aware. I acknowledge that thing. Now I can work on it. Right. So, and just be happy in that.
And I think it comes a lot from experience, application. You know what I'm saying? Experience and application, because you don't never really learn anything unless you learn it through experience. And one good thing about life and about these lessons that we're steadily trying to learn is that we've gone through similar events in our past lives. Not in our past lives, but earlier in life. Somewhere in there, I feel like we have a reference point that we can go back to in our minds, that if we did more introspection or more looking within ourselves, then we can start to notice like the patterns that you're talking about, like the going ahead, stepping back, the going ahead and stepping back. And so instead of looking at it as an individual happening, I think you notice that it's a part of the cycle of the pattern, and then more acceptance can happen, or the more your acceptance, the faster the solution will come about. It's like, oh, well, I know I'm gonna slip up, or I know sometimes it's gonna be rougher than other times, so when the times get really rough, then I'm gonna do this,
like
or
this.
you know what I'm saying, like that. So just even trying to make a plan about how to handle those times kind of puts you in preparation mode to notice it, you know what I'm saying, to see it, so that when that process does come back around,
you've heard me
Let's
describe.
give.
So what Ocha is describing is what you heard us talk about at the yoga teacher training about having resources in your toolkit. So it's not when it's time, it's not when they throw you in the deep end that you have to learn how to swim. You already have all these preparation tools readily available so that the cycle doesn't feel so drenchful. Like you get through it with much more ease. Like, all right, I'm feeling my energy go low. Okay, what do I normally do when I feel like this? Up massage, they do.
Say that again. You have a project.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna catch that.
Nobody gonna catch that.
Why you going over there? You going to eat?
She want to eat on camera.
You got a kickstand and everything. You gotta be over there.
Why you want to eat on camera? Everybody gotta eat food.
Yeah.
Yeah, spirit is in
Stop
here.
embarrassing me.
I'm sitting on one of my spirits left. Just
Okay, you done brought all these folks in here and you sitting in their seat. Okay, what you say it again? I'm like, nobody heard that. I'm having a hard time hearing that.
Forgiveness over there, like, gotta forgive.
She'll be alright, y'all. Give her another chance.
Oh,
Come on now,
man.
another chance. Say it one more time.
What was the question?
You was responding off of something. It wasn't
about what I said about what you learned in your yoga teacher's training when I was describing my
The
experience.
toolkit.
the
Yeah.
toolkit.
That it's important to start learning how to swim. It's not when you're in the deep end of the whirlpool of the ocean that you should start learning how to swim. So it's basically vital that we have resources available in our toolkit. So when we feel our frequency, our energy, because we'll spend a lot of time meditating, spend time contemplating, dhyana, pranayama. We'll spend time with our breath and our other techniques so that when we feel the shift, we know what tools to reach for. So for example, if your body is feeling lethargic and you know you just rested for 3-4 hours taking a nap, then maybe acupuncture to shift the chi in the body. Or when you are feeling hot, like you're constantly on alert, and being in water and letting water soothe your nervous system.
So that's what I'm out all the time.
I mean, but you'll know what's happening within you because you'll have an intimate exploration with
But I
yourself.
like swimming a lot too, and I ain't been in the pool.
Well, then that's your
That's
body saying, like, I need to be in the water. I need to be with some other elements.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also important, like really spending time with
Yeah.
elements,
Yeah.
fire, water,
Nature.
ether, nature, just like
I'm
really
always
being
on the porch,
immersed
like I'm
in nature. Yeah. Like there's a tree in mommy's backyard. I stare at that tree. Like that's my drishti. My focal point will just go to that tree. And it's like as I'm watching this tree breathing, I'm also breathing. Whatever you breathe in tree, I'm breathing. We sharing the same experience. And that has been beautiful. I haven't been able to do it now because the garden is overtaken. But I'm hopeful that I'll be able to experience it again.
Just go
where I
on the
can
other
just-
side.
Cha 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 cha.
Right.
Those are all
So
very-
just know what you need to do in order to calibrate. That's essentially what that means. Just already be in practice so that when you are in the deep throes of life, you have your life jackets ready.
It's easier said than done.
No, it's
Definitely.
only
Like with
challenging
the
if you say it's
overstimulation
challenging.
that we've been in, us desensitizing and learning how to use that tool from our toolkit. It's like, okay,
I just want to see what this is.
calm myself down to now implement this response instead of the one I'm experiencing now. Because we're gonna react because it's a trigger. So we're gonna react to whatever stimulation it is we got out externally. And then knowing to open this toolkit, apply this tool to it. Okay, how does this work? When learning how to apply things, how does this work? What does this look like? Let me apply it. And then so from that experience, that's pretty much all you know because you tried it out. So when it happens Again. Oh, y'all ready?
You
Go.
ready? Look.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. You get a little piece.
Go ahead.
I get a little piece. You get a little piece.
Saw that? Who shall go? True.
I just want to be quick.
I feel like
Water sign.
Go ahead.
In a room full of
Alright.
fire.
so.
A room full of
So
fire.
I feel like what I'm describing is so when you're, most of the time you do like reflection and introspection in a space when you're calm and by yourself and things like that. So during those times, and you reflect on your buttons, your triggers, and those things of that nature, and I feel like when you really dissect it and go into it and understand its place in your life and why it's happening, you already kind of bring it to awareness, and you realize those things are detrimental to self. So it's automatic in nature for you to go away from things that you feel like are detrimental to yourself. So when those things do come up, then you just begin to notice it a lot faster because you're not as in an autopilot mode or reactive mode anymore, because you already kind of starting to temper it down by soothing it in your mind about what that button is and why it's there, and how you should respond to it. So next time you see it, you're more alert and more willing to do something about it.
So I was essentially going to say something very similar, which I'm not surprised, but to practice the presence of pause. Because we are fire signs and because we've operated on this mode for a long time, it's familiar. And just because it's familiar doesn't mean it's needed anymore. It's familiar and it gives comfort, and it's like, okay, I know this one, and keep rocking with it. And that's where I like to invite people to step into the unknown. Like, you're gonna feel some other bumps and textures in the road that you may not have experienced before. And just because it's new doesn't make it wrong.
Correct.
So give yourself that space to pause and really pay attention to what it is you're feeling to begin with. Because oftentimes what my clients are telling me is whatever it is they're feeling feels like pain, feels like I don't know what this is, feels like unfamiliarity. I'm like, well, sit with it some more. It's not going to be here forever. So that's where that practice presence of pause comes into place, because not only will you see how sacred this moment is, you'll also start paying attention to what that invokes within you. So it becomes part of your toolkit. So when it comes up again, all right, I need some fresh air. I need some cold water on my face. You'll already know what to go for because you would have paused long enough to receive the feedback of the body, which is a biofeedback system. This body is constantly talking to us, and if we pause, feel into the experience, we'll get the notification. We'll get the ping. We'll know what to do.
But what if that feels like flow, right? Because you're like, oh, well, when things feel easy, when it's when it feels natural, when it just happens, that's when it's like you're in that oneness. But then my question is, what if that negativity, that negative energy is what has been your flow for so long?
Right. And also how that flow affects those around you.
So the thing about flow and the impact it has,
because we each have one, don't we?
multiple. It's not just one. We're weaving in and out of frequencies constantly. We will never experience the same moment twice. So we're constantly weaving in and out. Your input will yield an output. Your output is either a manifestation of what you desire and what you want or not.
Okay.
It's binary.
Yeah.
So check out your outcomes. If your outcomes are in alignment with what you say you want, then your input is fabulous. Then you keep going. Stay in that flow.
Okay.
But if you notice your output is out of pocket, out of line, you don't know what's happening, you don't know how it's going, neutralize everything and start over.
Yes.
Okay.
So pay attention. So those are the patterns. Your behavior, your patterns, the results that come out of it. Those are the indications that come from inner engineering.
And then I just wanted, I had to ask that question because I wanted it to be clear, because I mean, it's easy for us. Well, not that it's easy for us. It's not easy for us, but we talked about it. Mm-hmm. So to hear this stuff, it sounds all very familiar.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? But if you're someone who is not already on this wave or this doesn't have this sort of inner training and working already, how do you know that it's something that needs to be changed or that should be transformed in your life? Which is why I'm like, okay, let me ask this question to you here right now, because for a lot of people, they are on autopilot, and it feels like this is what I'm doing that's natural, that's easy, that I don't feel any sort of disconnection with. It feels right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels right. So I like that you said the indicator, one way to know for sure is if it's yielding the results of what you say you want or how you want to design your life, right? Because this is about designing your destiny, designing how you want to live your life.
Because remember I said my intention or hope from this session was to get to the execution and integration part.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, let me ask this question, because it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the part, because a lot of this, what we've talked about is theory. Us discussing it, how we feel, what we got sort of evidence to back it up, whatever. It's all just like, okay, it should go this way if we do X, Y, and Z. But as we have seen in life, it don't always flow X, Y, and Z like that. I don't know how this happened to me. So yes, I feel like that was definitely something that needed to be touched on as far as integrating it, because now, you know, it's like, okay, if as soon as I walk out this door, now I'm out of this bubble, I'm back in the real world. He make a joke in there, like, you know, yeah, y'all talk all this stuff, but that's not how it work in the real world. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, nah, I live in the real world. I'm here with you right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, this magic
It's happening.
is on purpose. It's engineering. I did this because this is what I want. So now I have figured out what I need to do within myself to be in this place all the time, where these people look at me and get relieved of whatever sort of stress or madness that they have created in their own lives. And now, because I have intentionally and purposefully decided to live my life this way, now you can feel my peace, even though in 2 seconds when I leave from you, you finna be back in your chaos. But mine is so strong, this power of the auric, the energy body, the auric field. You know what I'm saying? It's so much so that it can influence you. That's how they be talking about Jesus. Just let me touch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The hem of
your road.
because you that powerful that wherever you go, you are the one that's living out what you have created. And though it feel like your world is bending to you, that it's just that sort of effortless thing. So I feel like that was, you know, something that was really
nice.
really important to talk about when you talking about how you get your life to be how you say you want it to be. And that's the part about being responsible, like your ability to respond instead of reacting, because a lot of times people do just react. So, it's 5:02. Okay, we did do good, and that was a good place to end it then. So next book club.
Get into the practicalities of it.
Yeah, and the saranas. I want to do some at the beginning of the book club. So, like, in the next couple of chapters, I think we should do like 3 more probably. That'll probably get us into the first part of now yoga.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, yeah. Oh yeah, so that means we would have done a sadhana already by ourselves if you do it like how they do it in the book. So the next time this book club, I want us to do that little quick, little 15-minute one, just about like eating the food and just being in that experience of eating right before we start book club. So we'll do the next 3 chapters. Oh, and then I think it'll end perfectly, and it's like 3 more chapters. Yep. My inner engineering gonna be done just that quick. Or I mean, we'll see how it go when we talk about it. Cause we
we don't get learning new stuff.
okay, and we only just really got into chapter 3. We ain't really get into it, but we can pick up where we left off last week, next week. Okay, love y'all. DG. And book club done. Y'all gonna have
That's what's up. We did good.
we did do that.
Yeah.
It was good game.
You done? We can eat it.
You seen the heart smash.
I'm now looking at the score right now. It was
Smash.
Trae Young ended up dropping 34
This was
points.
great.
Yeah, it
Come back
was. Yay, thank you. I love being here. I like when you're here too.